You talked about Tears for Fears as smart arrangements.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of thought went into the arranging of these songs.
Yeah.
Like after the writing, the arranging.
Yeah, I think, again, kind of compounding off of what Colby sort of helped bring out of us with the Don't Get Boring. I get so formulaic sometimes when I'm writing songs because I see them in a very linear way because of where I started writing songs, which was on a program called Fruity Loops. And for all those who weren't lucky to use Fruity Loops, it's basically just like, if you can imagine, just blocks like Legos almost. And as you build, you can see the song in its entirety, or at least my brain sees the song. Here's start, here's block 2, there's verse, there's a chorus, and so on. Yeah. So my headspace for songwriting has always been so formulaic, and it's always been very much a pattern. And I think I wanted to shatter that, or at least try to, when it saw fit. And, there's still a time and place for, because you'll hear it on the record. There's a verse, there's a pre-chorus, there's a chorus, there's a verse, there's a pre-chorus, there's a chorus, there's a bridge, there's a chorus, there's the end of the song. Right. But there's also a 9.5 minute long song, and there's that sort of rounds out the record that ended up being 4 ideas that were separate that we ended up transposing and putting into different keys so that they would fit. And it was sort of moments like that made it, I guess, it brought it to fruition for us. And even if that doesn't translate to anybody else, at least I can be like, all right, I tried, Yeah. I gave it my college effort, but yeah, it's just, it's some stuff that you don't really think about. There's a song on the record, now I forget the name of it, but I just called it Bop, was because it had sort of a boppy kind of bouncy feel to it. But that song, the listener might not catch it, but the drums do the same thing in the whole song. And they're very straight, and they don't ever go to a crash. They don't ever go to a big open hi-hat. They stay very down the middle, but the song to me has its peaks and valleys with the instrumentation that we built around it. Right. And it was moves like that, I get it. Like my mom likes country music, and she doesn't really care who sings it or what it's saying or what it is. She just likes, and she likes all music, but to somebody that just listens, you might not catch it, and that's perfectly fine. But for us, it was another sort of piece that we had to kind of imbue into the whole process to make it fresh and to make it exciting and to make it mean just as much as 12 years ago did, Yeah.
I love the way the record starts with those vocals.
Thank you.
Kind of like almost like a Queen. Like
Yeah.
When you came up with that, was that written to be the beginning of the album? Because it sounds so perfect as the beginning of the album. It made me wonder, like, was this conceived to be the way you introduced it? So
the song itself was supposed to be, well, without giving it away, because I don't ever want to tell anybody, but it was supposed to be another song on a previous record.
Oh, really?
And it had that the whole demo sounds pretty much exactly like the song turned out to be. It had sort of that toy piano sound at the beginning with the strings, and at the time they were just on a Mellotron, so they're just fake strings, kind of like what the Beatles used back in the day, just a white keyboard. So we had the arrangement, we had everything set up, and as we sort of wrote other songs around it, it just became more and more clear that would be a great introduction to what we were eventually writing towards. And the Queen thing, that was a thing with vocals that I wanted to really try, because I'd never tried it before. I wanted to stack as many vocals as I could on top of themselves, and I didn't mind if they were me,
Yeah.
You know, if it was 20 me's, I just wanted to hear what our vocals or my vocals would sound like in that sort of arena. And I thought, you know, that Matt had this vocal engine. It's like sort of it creates harmonies and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And so you sing a pass, and then the computer sort of generates a fifth and a third and a ninth and a seventh, and
wow.
it's 2019 stuff. But we messed around with stuff like that. I just hadn't thought about vocals in that way ever. To where like it's okay to put more into it. It's okay to stack. It's okay to, you know, do harmonies that I'm not going to be able to hit live, or, you know, do stuff like that,
sure.
that would help.
It's okay to make the record a record.
Absolutely. There was a Paul McCartney quote, and I'm not going to quote it because I don't know it word for word, but he was talking about the studio as its own instrument, as a place to exploit, because that's the only time you'll be able to execute that stuff, unless you become the Beatles and can bring out farm animals on stage, or like a big choir or a big orchestra.
But they didn't. They quit touring.
Totally.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, when he said that in some PBS interview or something that I was watching, it sort of like clicked, and that goes back to Forever Halloween and doing the record to tape. Like, that was such a great learning experience, but we already proved to ourselves that we could play together as a band, and I could sing at the same time as the band, and it could turn out to be okay, you know. But we never tried to exploit the studio and to you know, really take advantage of the tools and the technology of 2019, and the ability to, like I said, send program strings halfway across the United States to a stranger and have him do real strings and send them back to us in the same day. I mean, that's like, I don't know, that's the beauty of where we're at with technology and with, you know, the tools that we have. So, yeah.
Now, with all the vocal stacking and the program strings and the kind of shooting for the, you know, back row of the stadium kind of approach.
Yeah.
How did you decide to have the one song in the middle of the album where you like just strip it all down?
I think that went back to the idea of dramatic scene changes. I had that demo, and we really didn't put a ton of thought into it. It sort of came from my computer to the room to, all right, yeah, let's put a chorus to it, and then to the studio, like to recording it. But we've never had an only acoustic song, and that was like a big staple. We had this big sheet in our studio in Mesa that had just bullet points of what we wanted to put onto the record. You know, basically strings and halftime chorus, and it was just like these broad bullet points that, you know, if you saw it now, you'd be like, you guys are like, this is so simple. But for us, it gets hard to actually like to make things sound different because of our intuition and because of our dynamic and the way we work together. So that was one of the bullet points, was acoustic song. And the more we started thinking about it, the more we started getting scared by the idea of it being slow and being sort of just a filler track. And that's when I had the idea of not ripping off, but Billy Bragg has a song called A New England, and it's just him and an electric guitar. And it sounds like he just wrote it, and he's like, hey, can I go record it? And he's fumbling through it, but it's him playing an upbeat Billy Bragg song, but on an electric with him singing, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that was really the inspiration of that tune, and it should feel like we're just fumbling through it, because that's kind of what happened. And that was, yeah, it felt like that was a good juxtaposition to this like grand, in your face, strings everywhere, vocals everywhere. Take a breath and then get right back into it.
Yeah, yeah. It's a great change up.
Thank you.
I like the way that works.
Thanks.
So have you thought at all about what the next single would be?
We've been, I guess, we boiled it down to 2, and it was None Without You that ended up winning, because we polled friends. You know, we got the mix back, and we just sent it to people that we trusted would give us an honest, you know, answer. And it wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't like 100% of the people said this song, but it was more than enough to be convinced to put that one out first. So the other one that didn't win was a song called My Best Habit, Bop, aka Bop. And what's funny is all of these songs have just been working titles forever until like the week before we sent them in to get mixed.
Yeah.
But My Best Habit, in contrast to None Without You, definitely, to me personally, is more reminiscent to some of our more groove-based songs, like Am I Pretty from American Candy, or English Girls, or even Bad Behavior off the last record. It just has sort of that, it's got that poppy bounce to it,
right, yeah.
Where I felt like, you know, None Without You is just more gritty and maybe more of a statement.
It's more of a departure.
Yeah, totally. So I think people will find more familiarity in the second song that we put out. If we didn't scare them away with the first one, maybe we'll appease them a little bit. The reaction's
been pretty good.
Yeah.
On Twitter and whatnot.
Yeah, it's been.
People really like it.
Yeah, it's been cool. It's been. It's so hard to tell, you know.
Yeah.
And it's hard to. One funny comment that I did read was very passive, but it made me feel good, but it also made me feel pissed. Was when did John learn how to sing? And I was like, that's pretty good. So, but overall, it's been super, super positive. And I mean, we're sitting in this store that we put together, and these sort of things are like, they're just reminders of how fortunate we are to still be doing it, and to have people genuinely care is like, it's very surreal for it to still happen.
That's great. Could you talk about the naming of the album, how you decided on that as a title and the significance of it?
Yeah. For the longest time, I was calling the record The Glitter and the Gloom, and that is actually a lyric in the first song that we put out. And the more that I thought about it, the more it felt too vague. It felt just too, I guess, it just wasn't specific enough. And so when I came up with You Are Okay, I don't really want to divulge what it means to me, because I feel like right now, especially not having people heard the record, I feel like it's important for them to attach their own meanings to it, or to come up with their own hypothesis of what it means. Now, more than anything, I think it's just a question, and it would be, are you okay? And it was sort of a mantra for me. It was, you know, dealing with my own sort of anxiety and having my own burden of the world.
Right.
But it, you know, I think what I'm hoping for is that it becomes whatever people need it to be.
Yeah.
It's. I don't know. I'll definitely give people more than that when the record's out and when they can sit with it for a while. But I'd like to keep it as vague as I can. I did toy around with the idea of conceptually going down a road and trying to piece together some sort of story throughout the record. And it'll be for people to decide if that exists or not. Yeah. But yeah, that's where we are.
Well, you said it was a question, but you didn't phrase it as a question. You didn't. It's not, are you okay? It's the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I think that's where I'm at right now for people, is it's the question that I'm asking is, are you okay? And it's for them to decide what their answer is. Or for me, the album name is like I was saying, the reminder to myself.
Yeah.
That sort of, not I won't go down the life is meaningless path, but I will go down. I will go down the. It's really good to be here, and it's really, really fucking incredible that we're alive. Just and that's like stony stuff, but I haven't smoked pot in a long time, and I'm just really, I'm really amazed by just the idea of being alive and being able to share your experience with somebody else and to hear what theirs is and to make music.
Right.
Yeah.
Now this is a self-released album. You've been self-releasing for a little while now. What's the advantage of taking a hands-on DIY approach for you guys?
For us, I can pinpoint the moment, for me at least, that sort of sparked not the rebellion, but it was like that moment where it was just like, we're not going to do that. And we were taking photos in California. We were on a record label, and one of the people that worked at the record label was telling us what to do, like what to do with your hands, and like, don't smile like that. And it was like, yo, this is I'm done right here. And it didn't take us but another couple years to figure out that we didn't have to operate in the confines of the standard music business. And we were fortunate enough to find a path outside of that and to find a following, a group of people that would allow us to do that. So I guess the advantages would be the obvious. There are no gatekeepers other than ourselves and, whatever the realm of possibility is that we decide exists.
Right.
You could have said, like, you're going to open a sort of retail store, and that would have been like a pipe dream,
Right.
And now it exists because we wanted it to. And I think that we're only going to take this as far as people will allow us to. And we understand that. So we want to make people feel as a part of it as possible, because they are. They really, really are. And this is, I mean, all of this stuff is like, 8123 was a parking garage that me and Tim and our buddies used to just kick rocks on, and like smoke clove cigarettes and like lie to our parents where we were. Right. And now it's like, it's still ours, but it's so many others at this point that we had to let it go a little bit and invite people in. And it, fortunately, again, we're in this position where we're allowed to make music on our own. And, we funded the last however many records, 3 records, and people have been so supportive that it's allowed us to make the next crazy decision and to put on a free tour and to open up this store and to work with our producer from our first record. And just, we've been given so many opportunities because we've done it on our own, but we haven't done it on our own. You know, we've had so much support from these people, and they are, in a sense, our record label. You know, because they decided, like I was saying, they decided that Black Butterflies and Deja Vu off the last record was the song that they liked, you know, and we didn't think that. It's things like that they are the voice, and they are the gatekeeper at this point, you know. So we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah. Now you get to smile the way you want to smile.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's all I've got.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for doing it again.
Sure, man.
That's awesome.